You are listening to The Squeeze with Anthony Pasquazi, produced by Alec Rude on KSMR Radio, broadcasting live on 92.5 FM on campus and 94.3 FM in Winona, Minnesota, as well as online at smumn.edu/KSMR. KSMR Real College Radio. Alec, very happy to be back. Sorry we missed that show last weekend.
Hey, it happens. We have a lot to talk about, though.
We do.
Tons.
Now we have double the stuff to talk about. Life sometimes gets in the way of what you really want to do, and I know the squeeze is something that we always really want to do, and sometimes it just has to come second, but not second here this weekend. And St. Mary's, 3/4 of our winter sports qualifies for the MIAC playoffs. The swim team just did really well this weekend, and the track team, we're going to talk about that a little bit later. They're heading to MIACs next weekend. St. Mary's sports, man, that whole thing about lowly little St. Mary's sports, I think that's drifting towards an end.
Yeah, 3 out of our 4 teams, like you said, men's hockey, women's hockey, and women's basketball, all getting the last spot too. So that's pretty cool to see them. It all came down to the last. I guess men's hockey came down to the last series, but women's basketball and women's hockey came down to the last game. Women's hockey won by 1. Women's basketball lost, but had help from Bethel beating Hamlin. So, again, 3 out of the 4. And if you look at that, if each team, 1 out of the 3 teams gets 3 straight wins, they're in the NCAA tournament. That'd be pretty cool for St. Mary's.
Absolutely. The other 3 teams in the conference with as many winter sports teams in the playoffs, St. Thomas with 4, Augsburg with all 4, and Gustavus with 3. So pretty good company if you ask me. St. Mary's is right up there with the best of them. Of course, St. John's and St. Ben's only have male and female sports respectively, but still 3 out of the 4 sports. Very awesome. Great things happening here at St. Mary's, and we're going to be there to cover it all.
Yeah, I know. And again, what we talked about before, the preseason polls, we just got buried by the coaches. Men's hockey, we were projected to finish 8th out of 9th, finished 5 out of 9. Women's hockey projected 7 out of 10, finished 5th out of 10. Women's basketball, we were projected 6th, which you got. And then men's basketball, we only had 13 votes, and we tied McAllister, obviously, for the last spot. But again, 4-16 from no wins last year.
1-24, 0-17.
Yeah, is big. So again, we proved them wrong like we do every single year, and I think it's going to be a fun couple weeks. Playoffs start Tuesday for basketball and Thursday for hockey, I believe. So It'll be fun.
And speaking of men's basketball and women's basketball, actually, we have 2 associates of men's basketball. Bradley Hill, not Christian Oliveras. Bradley Hill is coming in at 11:30 to talk his final season of basketball. We will have Kaylee Landers. She's a sophomore on the women's basketball team in at 12:10. And then Coach Joe Fano. This might be our biggest guest ever. Coach Joe Fano will be in at 12:30. That's some appointment radio, if I do say so myself. But what you were saying about boys basketball, they were projected to go last, and they did finish second to last. I do believe they have the McAllister tiebreaker because they have a better out-of-conference record. I think that's how it works. But nevertheless, they're down there. But you have to look at it, and we'll talk about it with both Bradley and Coach Fano. There were 5 games in there that they should have won.
Yeah.
That if you ask them, they would tell you they should have won those games. And if they win those games, guess what? That's 9 wins, and that's a playoff spot.
Well, that's the thing. Unfortunately, this year it is an improvement for us, but the 6th place spot in the MIAC conference was really down this year. It was the top 5 teams, and then 6 was really down there. So, again, we're not going to look at it as a fail of a season, but
absolutely not.
If they would have won those ones, I think they could have made it. And that next year, without Hill's only senior, he's a big loss. But if we get like 2 more recruits that could really get in that starting rotation, they're going to be scary good.
Yeah, there was a freshman who was hurt all this season who I've heard very good things about, James Conley. And then there's also a seminarian who played basketball somewhere else, I think in the NAIA, and he played basketball there. I think he's going to join the team as well. So there you go. Those are your 2 stud recruits that you're just kind of getting out of nowhere for next season. I'm very excited to talk to Coach Fano and Bradley Hill. 16-second squeeze. That's how you win a free T-shirt. I'm getting low on the T-shirts, actually. I need to go put in another order. I think we're going to go black next time. Black on or white on black for the squeeze T-shirts. But this weekend is your last chance to win a squeeze T-shirt before we take 2 weeks off for spring break. That number is 507-457-1615. And the way you win it is through the 16-second squeeze, which is our little trivia game here. I'll ask you to name as many whatevers as you can in 16 seconds. We'll get your number. I'll then play a recording, and your margin of victory against that recording is your score. Whoever has the highest score at the end of the day wins the squeeze t-shirt. I think that's probably the best I've ever described the 16-second squeeze. Alec, we're on a roll today. We're very refreshed. A week off, and we're just,
11 o'clock start time.
11 o'clock start time. Look at this. We're just a whole new and better show. My weekend, pretty okay until I woke up and saw that there's snow on the ground, and we're going to get, 3 to 6 more inches?
Walking here was brutal.
Oh, my gosh. On top of the already foot that we have on the ground, and I'm going to have to go scrub my car. Just keep doing it, because that's all it is living in Minnesota. But yeah, I had a pretty boring weekend, although I will say I had a lot of fun calling the girls' game yesterday with Chris Shepard, and then I got to finally make my debut as the play-by-play man for the men's basketball game. Just me all by my lonesome as you were out there on the tennis court. How'd that go?
Good. We won both yesterday, so our overall record's 4-2 now. So we beat St. Norbert 7-2, and then Wartburg 5-4. That was very exciting. But yeah, we're sitting at 4-2. Our only 2 losses are against Carleton, who is nationally ranked, and then St. Scholastica, who's made the NCAA tournament, I think, 24 of the past 25 years. So that's only our 2 losses. So we start really getting that MIAC play. We have played Carleton, but we start that Friday and Saturday against Bethel and St. Thomas. But no, it went good. Got my first ever win at one singles. So I was very proud of myself for that one. It felt good.
Congratulations. We're in the presence of a stud in more ways than one. Speaking of studs, we will be giving away our first ever winter sports squeezies. We gave them away for the spring sports and the fall sports last year. So squeezies, we're giving away best player from each team, men's, women's, hockey, and basketball. So stay tuned for that. That'll be right after the break. That is coming up very soon. We each got I got the basketball side of things for the squeezies, and you got the hockey side of things. So very excited to give those away. Of course, very prestigious award. You get absolutely nothing for it, but you can tell everybody that you are the winner of a squeezie. So
it's a big deal.
It's a pretty big deal. I think
we should get trophies.
We should get trophies. That'd be kind of cool.
It's bigger than the Grammys.
Or Emmy. or Emmy, Oscar. I mean, squeezies. It's right up there. So taking a week off was kind of a poor choice in that it was the weekend after the Super Bowl. Yeah, it's this kind of pretty big event in sports. So we didn't get to talk about the Super Bowl until now. Give me everything you have on the Super Bowl. 2 weeks now removed.
I don't have much. I didn't like that game at all. I thought it was going to be more high scoring. You predicted that the Rams were going to get a slim margin, and I'll give you credit for that. But I thought like having the Saints and Drew Brees, or maybe the Chiefs and Mahomes, or maybe I wanted at least one of those 2 teams. Obviously, Brady's fun, but when Brady only scores 16, 17 points, it's just boring. So it's cool to see the Patriots winning again. We're living in the presence of a dynasty, so obviously I like that, and I think there's going to be a lot of hype for next year. I think there's been absolutely stars that have risen out, so I'm very excited for next year. Fantasy football next year. I know exactly what I'm doing now, which I want it to already come.
Attaboy.
Mahomes.
Oh, yeah, sure. Good luck with that. I think that's probably everybody's plan. But so one of the best seasons in the history of the NFL, ratings-wise, is capped off with one of the worst Super Bowls in terms of ratings.
I will say, though, that Super Bowl commercial for the NFL,
that was pretty cool.
That was the coolest commercial
That was the
I've
best
ever
commercial.
seen. Oh, my gosh.
Absolutely. Dick Butkus, everybody was in there.
Oh, yeah, when he got the ball down there, I got chills watching it.
It was pretty cool, wasn't it? Yeah. I mean, speaking of other Super Bowl commercials, anything else? Nothing really stuck out. I kind of like the Colgate one a little bit, the close talker.
Dilly
Dilly was okay. It was, I don't know. They're doing a little bit too much with the Game of Thrones stuff. Yeah. But so we talked about the New Orleans ratings against the Los Angeles ratings, and I said it wouldn't surprise me if the New Orleans ratings, more people in New Orleans watched the Super Bowl than in Los Angeles. I could not have been more wrong, because in New Orleans, the night of the Super Bowl, they boycotted it. They legitimately boycotted the Super Bowl. It was the lowest rated New Orleans Super Bowl in the history of television. So I could not have been more wrong. But how awesome would it have been to be in New Orleans during the Super Bowl and no one has any idea what's going on?
That's the thing, though. In New Orleans, you have enough other stuff to do. They like to party down there. They know what they're doing. But no, again, why not boycott it? If that call happened to you, I would have been pretty mad too.
That's true. I mean, we kind of talked about the call. We'll talk about the AAF pretty soon. I saw some pretty cool stuff in the AAF. I mean, rule changes. Quarterbacks getting absolutely just brutalized.
It's fun to say that I like watching it, but it's kind of fun to watch.
It is fun to watch. So, I mean, Super Bowl, it was one of the most boring Super Bowls I've ever seen in my life. The halftime show was fine. Maroon 5 was fine. I mean, the whole thing was just bleh.
I think the Patriots, they could win it again.
They could win it again.
Easily.
I'm not betting against everybody. Your sports savant here said to you earlier this season that Tom Brady would never, ever, 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 ever win another playoff game. Again, could not have been more wrong. That was pretty bad.
I said the Chargers is going to win the Super Bowl.
You were close. You were close. You close.
I said that at the start of the playoffs.
Oh, well then never mind. But you put a lot of gentleman chips down on that.
I like them. Yeah.
You can't bet money, of course, but
technically not. My dad can.
Your dad can. There you go. You just live vicariously through him.
I got to turn in the Clemson football one, actually, that my dad won.
Oh, nice. Yeah, your dad won.
$10.
Okay, perfect. 507-457-1615 is the phone number. If you want to win a Squeeze t-shirt or if you just want to call in, talk some St. Mary's sports. This is actually, I was doing the prep earlier and I was thinking about, this is almost 100% a St. Mary's sports day. So this is the day for you to get all of your St. Mary's hot takes out there. 507-457-1615 is the way for you to do that. But before we do so, last week, another thing that we missed was possible rule changes that were proposed in the MLB. So I'm just going to go through them, Alec, and I want you to give me a yay or a nay if you like them or not.
Sounds good.
Universal designated hitter.
Nay.
Nay. 26-man roster, up from 25.
Yeah.
20-second pitch clock.
Yeah.
3-batter minimum for pitchers.
What is that?
So you can't have one guy come in, just pitch to one batter, and then another pitcher comes in.
No.
No, okay. The runner on second base in extra innings.
No.
Absolutely not. Reduction in mound visits.
Yes.
And a 15-day minimum for the disabled list, up from 10.
I'll say yeah.
Okay, so you like that. Overall, you like the rule changes. What's the one that sticks out to you the most?
That's second base. That's so stupid.
Yeah, they've been doing it in the minor leagues. They just start a guy on second base for extra innings to try to make the games go by quicker.
No.
I don't think it's a terrible idea. I think it's a terrible idea for MLB. For minor league and for spring training, I think it's okay.
You don't hear many games that go past 15 innings. It's not like it's
not that big.
Because they go more than an hour after extra innings.
So is that the one that really sticks out to you? Or is it the DH? I think the DH is the one that really sticks out to me.
I want to see pitchers hit.
I used to say that, but as a Cubs fan, we have this little old guy named Kyle Schwarber, and he'd be a perfect DH. And also, why don't you just want more offense? Why do the leagues have to be different? Just because they've always been different doesn't mean they have to stay different.
I say you switch it, though, either AL and both the leagues have the same rules. So
okay.
I think you either make all the pitchers hit in both leagues or you can't just make it. I think that's getting too much now.
I think the universal DH is coming. I don't know when it's coming, but it's coming. Also, I think it's funny that it's universal DH. It's not just the National League and American League. It's the whole universe has to use the designated hitter rule. It would be fun. I mean, it's just more offense. Isn't that what you want in baseball? Everybody calls it boring. It's the most boring sport on earth, and this would solve that. So yeah. I really like the 26-man roster, especially if you are adding a DH in the NL. Just give your bullpen a little bit more depth. Help keep guys healthy. And then I really do like the 3-pitcher minimum rule because there's nothing worse than a loogie. A guy who comes in, he's a lefty, lefty specialist. He comes in to get the left-hander out, and then he goes out. So you have a 10-minute commercial break to warm the guy up. He pitches for one batter, And then you have a 10-minute commercial break for a mound visit.
That would really show who has the best strategy and stuff.
Yeah,
you got to really strategize. So you might have swayed my opinion. I think it would save a lot of more boringness that they say for the MLB.
Yeah, I mean, pitchers would have to be better, and either it would be the pitcher gets rocked, and then there you go, you get more offense, or the pitcher stays in. And look at that. He's not just a loogie. He's a guy who can go for 3 batters.
So we probably won't see as many changes in between innings too, because if it's 3 batters, they would probably start a new inning almost every one, which would save time.
It would save a lot of time. 507-457-1615 is the phone number. We're going to take it to break here. That's the phone number if you want to win a Squeeze t-shirt. One more time, 507-457-1615. Thanks for listening. We'll be right back after the break. The Squeezies. And then coming up at 11:30, senior Bradley Hill. Thank you for listening, and stay tuned. You are listening to The Squeeze with Anthony Pasquazi, produced by Alec Root on KSMR Radio, broadcasting live on 92.5 FM on campus and 94.3 FM in Winona, Minnesota, as well as online at smumn.edu/KSMR. KSMR, real college radio. No takers for 16-second squeeze. That's okay. And I just realized something, Alec. I've been lying to the people all this time. Every time I say that we're streaming live on smumn.edu/KSMR, I've been lying to them. It's just a force of habit because we actually have not been streaming. But very soon, we will be streaming on that website. So we'll keep you posted there. Just another way for you to tune into The Squeeze at smumn.edu/KSMR. But the way that most people do it is, of course, the millions listening on the radio in their cars at 92.5 and 94.3. But we also have a couple on the YouTube stream. If you're not already subscribed over there, hit that subscribe button. It really makes us feel pretty good. That's Anthony Pasquazi, Pasqueisi, on that YouTube page. Thanks for the support as always, and keep listening to The Squeeze. But before we get into the highly acclaimed Squeezies Award, we're going to take it to the track. And something funny about the track team that I'm not sure Coach Niels Anderson is going to want me to share, because this was pretty off the record. But I think because I'm his athlete and he's come on The Squeeze a couple times, I think I can share this and he won't be too embarrassed. So we had a meeting. We had a team meeting at 5:45 on Friday night.
Really?
We sit down at the meeting. That's pretty much, we always do that. We have meets on Saturdays. We sit down and he tells us, yeah, we're not going to Dubuque tomorrow because the meet's right now. He had thought that the meet at Dubuque this weekend was yesterday, when in fact it had been Friday the entire time. So they hustled and they muscled, and they got the girls to the U of M for an open meet, and they got the guys to St. Olaf for an invitational meet. But how funny is that? Have you ever even heard of that? He just didn't see it. And the funniest thing to me is that he was, bagging on himself the whole time, making fun of himself. But he sent us the email with the date on it. And it said Friday, February 15th or whatever. It said the date, and none of us saw it. And none of us were like, Coach, it's not on Saturday. So
that's funny.
There's your Niels Derp story for the weekend, but he tells it a lot better than I am. Hopefully next time he comes on, he'll be able to say it.
Good.
So after that bit of adversity and change of scenery, the men and women both did very well. This courtesy of Donnie Nadeau. If Saturday's performances were any indication, Kyle Lineker, Desmond Stewart, and the rest of the St. Mary's University of Minnesota men's track and field team is more than ready for next weekend's Minnesota Intercollegiate Athletic Conference Championships, MIAC for short. Lichtenegger posted first and second place performances, and Stewart added a first and a fourth to pace the Cardinals at the St. Olaf Classic. Lichtenegger raced to a first in the 60, clocking a time of 7.08 while adding a second in the 200, stopping the clock in 23.04. Stewart, meanwhile, won the triple jump with a leap of 13.75 meters and chipped in a fourth in the long jump with a mark of 6:48. Sadly, we weren't able to talk about this last weekend, but last weekend, Desmond Stewart broke the school record in the triple jump with a massive leap of 14 meters. That's good enough to put him in first in that event in the MIAC conference, heading into conference this weekend. 45 feet, 11 and a quarter inch. That's a full 10 inches in front of a freshman from St. John. So impressive stuff from that freshman, but also, come on, Des. You're making everybody else look bad. But Desmond Stewart will also qualify in the long jump. He's third in that event with a jump of 22 feet, 6 2/4 inches. David Kemper's first in the pole vault in the MIAC. Christian Beamer, fifth. The 4x200 meter team is sixth in the MIAC, 1 second above St. Thomas. That's always sweet whenever you can finish above a Tommy. Matt Boone will most likely qualify in the 200 meter, 15th in that event. And then Kyle Lichtenegger will have a very busy day next weekend at St. Olaf. Not only will he be in that 4x200 meter relay, but he's also fourth in the 60 currently, ninth in the 200, and fifth in the long jump. He's going to have a busy day. So is Desmond Stewart. And then on the women's side of things, Rachel Odie has been second in the MIAC all season long with a jump of 5 feet, 5 1/4 inch. They have the fifth best 4x200 meter team in the conference. Kinsey Schmedsrud is 15th in the 60 meter hurdles. Alicia Schur is 20th in the 60. She's right on that bubble in that event, as well as in the 200, where she currently ranks 18th. And then the freshmen stand out Sydney Klosler, fifth in the 60 with a time of 8 minutes. That would not be eighth in the 60. 8 minutes. Fifth in the 60 with 8 seconds, 8.11 seconds. 12th in the 200 and 6th in the long jump. Our track team, very sad to lose Becca Dupe this season, but Sydney is filling her shoes very nicely. So good on you, track team. I wish I could be out there with you. My first meet back will be March 20th, and I could not begin to tell you how excited I am for that. So, Alec, you're looking at swim and dive. What could you tell us about the swim and dive?
Yeah, I was kind of interested on how they were doing this weekend, but so they had the MIAC championships this weekend, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. They finished 8th place overall. I believe that was a 3-day event, actually. Oh, it's continuing today, actually. So, again, they're in 8th place right now out of 11 teams, I believe. Yes, out of 11. So, again, not too bad.
Yeah, and Brooke Shevchek has already broken 3 records, and she's only a sophomore. She was on the show earlier this year. I told her, you got to do something if you want to come on the squeeze, and ever since then, she's been doing a whole heck of a lot, just breaking school records left and right. So congrats to the swim team. And now to the real moneymakers in winter sports. Here we are, the squeezies. Should we go do the costume change, put on our tuxes, or did we scratch that idea? Okay. We're going to start on the women's side. We're going to go to St. Mary's Ice Arena. Alec, give us the nominees. Tell us a little bit about them. and then give us the winner of the women's hockey squeezy.
Yeah, so we'll start with women's hockey. So overall this year, they were 9-10-6, conference record of 6-8-4. They finished fifth in the MIAC, so they will have that 5-4 matchup on Thursday. But so my three nominees, I did women's and men's hockey, like you said. I think the women's hockey was you pretty much knew who was the winner and the top three nominees. The men's hockey was a lot tougher to figure out. So my three nominees are first, number 30, the goaltender, Ari Ziakis. She started 10 games on the year. She has the fourth best goals against average and third best save percentage in the whole MIAC conference. And her only loss this year is to Hamlin, who's fourth in the nation. So 6-1-4. Her save percentage is .927. So very, very great numbers by Ziakis. My second nominee is number 20, Courtney Moser. She is tied in points at 15. She had 2 goals only, but 13 assists. So leader in that category. She led any other Cardinal player assist by 5. And again, she was just a stud all year, had some playmaker abilities all year. And then that kind of leads me to my next nominee, number 21, Natalie Ryan. She tied with Moser at that 15-point range, but she's a defenseman, which is really unbelievable. She was the leader in goals as a defenseman, which is unbelievable in hockey. As a D, you do not get as much shots. And I feel like this is the biggest stat. She was the second most in shots on the whole team. Moser, 81, Ryan, 71, and then the third most was Went with 49.
Wow.
So she was 22 more than the next player in that category. But for our first squeezy, I am going to give this one to junior defenseman number 21, Natalie Ryan.
Congratulations, Natalie Ryan. You can come collect your prize, never, but you can tell everybody that you are the winner of the first ever St. Mary's women's hockey squeezy. So congratulations and a little golf clap.
She is the hardest shot I've ever seen in women's hockey. That thing is a bomb, but if they win one in the playoffs, this team could be dangerous. Again, they only need 3 wins and they're in the tournament.
And now from the ice to the hardwood. Women's basketball finished with a record of 13-12. A conference record of 9-9, good enough to get them the 6th seed in the playoffs. The 3 nominees for this year's squeezies on the women's basketball team, Brooklyn Paulson, Brandy Blattner, and Rachel Kettle. Brooklyn Paulson averaged, as a freshman this season, 11.1 points per game, good enough for second on the team. She shot 38.3% from behind the arc, second on the team, but she was the leading 3-point scorer, sinking 62 of 162. 62 3-pointers as a freshman. She also was just an all-around great scorer. She didn't do much else, which is why I don't think she's going to win this year's squeezy. But where we lost Alexa Huseman last season, Brooklyn Paulson filled her shoes absolutely. So congratulations, Brooklyn Paulson, for that nomination. The second nomination, Rachel Kettle, sophomore. 5.9 points per game, 4th best on the team. 4.1 rebounds per game, 2nd best on the team. 1st in blocks and 4th in steals. Just an all-around great player. She battled some injuries down the stretch, a concussion here and there. And now, your final nominee. Feel like this one was probably pretty easy. Brandy Blattner. 15.5 points per game, best on the team, 7th in the MIAC. A team leading 48.2% from the field. 8.7 rebounds per game, that's 4th in the MIAC. And a career high 41% from behind the arc, 16 of 39 shooting. 2nd on the team in blocks per game and 2nd on the team in steals per game. Congratulations, Brandy Blattner, as you've won the first ever St. Mary's Women's Basketball Squeezies Award, All-American, MIAC Player of the Week, none of that, D3 Hoops Team of the Week, none of that compares to this Squeezies Award. I know that she's going to be very happy to find out when she finds out, if she finds out, that she has won a Squeezies Award. We are running a little bit late, so we're going to hold off on the last round of Squeezies until after the Bradley Hill interview. We're going to take it to break right now. 507-457-1615 is that phone number if you want to win a Squeeze t-shirt. If you don't, that's fine. 507-457-1615 is the phone number. Thanks for listening. Bradley Hill up next. We'll be right back. You are listening to The Squeeze with Anthony Pasquazi and Alec Rude on KSMR Radio, broadcasting live on 92.5 FM on campus and 94.3 FM in Winona, Minnesota, as well as online at smumn.edu/KSMR, KSMR Real College Radio. We do have a 16-second squeeze caller. Alec, put him on the air. Here we go. This is Molly and James. How are we doing?
Good.
Okay, awesome. You know how the 16-second squeeze works, correct?
I do.
Okay, so you have, or sorry, who do you want to go up against, Claire or Teresa?
Well, what's the question, first of all?
Well, you won't know until you pick them. You have to pick them first, and then you'll know the question.
Claire.
Okay, Claire. Claire had 16 seconds, so you have 16 seconds to name as many animals as you can. Animals in 16 seconds. 3, 2, 1, go.
Tiger, lion, squirrel, mouse, cat, dog, parrot, elephant, giraffe, rhino, hippo, alligator, crocodile, snake, monkey, chimpanzee, orangutan, gorilla.
Wow, that's it.
Woodchuck, gopher.
18. That may be the.
More?
That's 18. You're done.
One more time?
That 18 points. That may be the highest score that we've ever had on the 16-second
Because I'm
squeeze.
probably the oldest person you've had on the show.
Or the smartest person. It doesn't have to be the oldest
You
person.
got it.
Well, thanks for calling, Molly. Stay tuned and see if you win that squeeze t-shirt.
Hey.
Okay, thanks for calling.
Bye-bye.
That was awesome. 18 animals in 16 seconds. I seriously think that's the highest score that we've ever had.
Yeah.
Now let's see how Claire did. She had 16 seconds to name as many animals as she could. As we know, it's always a problem to get these things queued up on the computer. This is not Christian Oliveris, by the way. This is Bradley Hill. Very different person. Totally different people, actually. But again, okay, Claire, we're waiting on you. This is going great.
Let's just give her she had 18. Let's just give her it.
I mean, I guess we probably could, but the whole point of it is to get content out of.
Name as many
There we
animals
go.
as you can in 16 seconds. 3, 2, 1, go.
Okay, a panda, a lion, a tiger, a bear, a sea lion, a clownfish, a polar bear, a seal, a dog, a cat, a salamander, a spider, and a capybara.
How many was it?
13.
13. Congratulations, Molly. That's a +5. And if history tells us anything, a +5 will be more than enough to win that Squeeze t-shirt. So congratulations, Molly. Capybara. I don't know if you heard that. That was the last animal that Claire gave us. Do you know what a capybara is?
Nope, never.
Okay. Just look it up. It looks like a big old like gopher thing. I don't really know how to describe it, but Bradley Hill, cozy on up to that microphone. Thank you so much for sitting in today. Last minute, you're a real dude. Yeah, I'm happy that you are here. So I'm just gonna be blunt. How pleased were you with your team season this year?
Oh, I feel like we had a great season this year. I mean, compared to last year, obviously, but just overall, being able to take in a new head coach and fight through that adversity and just work hard throughout the season and want to get wins. I mean, I think it was probably our best season since I've been here so far. So,
and which of those wins? You had 7 wins this season. You had 4 in conference. Which of those meant the most to you personally?
to me personally, I would say our last one against McAllister because recently those past few games before then we were so close, but we just didn't finish. Things happen last minute. People hit shots at the end of the game. But, I mean, I felt like we had fought so hard the past 4 games, and it finally paid off against McAllister.
Yeah, I mean, that was a 17-point victory against McAllister, and McAllister, a team that you probably should have beat the first time.
Yeah, exactly.
And that was one of those games that Alec and I were talking about earlier. You could name 5 games that you guys probably should have won.
Yeah.
Do you guys understand that? Do you agree with that
Oh,
statement?
yeah, we definitely agree with that statement. I mean, we knew that some of the teams we lost to this year, we should have definitely beat. Like you said, McAllister, they hit a game winner against us. I mean, I really felt like we should have beat Augsburg too at their place. But a lot of the games, I think this year, we felt like we could have won. I mean, we competed with everybody we played with this year. So
Yeah,
that's great steps for the future. I mean,
absolutely. I mean, last year you guys got blown out in
yeah.
just about every single MIAC game, and there wasn't one game that you guys were out of this season. What do you think was the biggest change between last season and this year on and off the court?
I think last year, I mean, we really had a lot of injuries, obviously, and just a lot of freshmen playing they haven't been in the road like to play in college basketball. I mean, because they're freshmen. But I think this year we really bought into the system with the new head coach, and because I felt like last year we were tired of losing, so we wanted to step up this year and just do what we had to do to get some wins. So
Yeah, and that you did. You guys played hard, and Coach Fano is a fiery guy.
Yeah,
I mean, what could you tell us about first-year Coach Fano?
Oh no, he's a great guy. I mean, even though he gets on us, I mean, we all know it's for our good, to get us better. But I mean, it was definitely different because last year he's more of a vocal coach, I would say. So yeah, just trying to get used to that part was kind of interesting. But I mean, it was for the better. I would say it was good.
Yeah, you guys have took a huge step forward. I tweeted out a while ago. I don't know if you saw it, but last year your point differential was some negative 567, and this year it was negative 113.
Yep.
So I mean, it's you're hands down one of the most improved teams in the country.
Yeah.
I would say.
Most definitely.
What can we expect next season?
I would say that they're going to the playoffs next season. I don't see them not making it. Just based off the year we had this year, I mean, competing with everybody. I mean, even when we played St. Thomas last night, I felt like throughout the whole game we were going to beat them. So I think we can compete with anybody in the MIAC next year. So
Yeah, and speaking of that St. Thomas game, you guys had a 1-point lead heading into the second half. What did Coach Fano say at halftime?
He was just saying he was really proud of us for fighting and hanging in there the first half. I mean, he knew that we would be in this game. I mean, we prepared the whole week on them. I mean, and then just being able to I'm trying to think what he said, but it was a lot of stuff. I mean, he said a lot of things. Just we had to keep up, like working with their press, like just taking our time. We did a good job with that. I mean, we really worked on that all week, so I felt like we were best prepared for that game. So.
And that game was your final game
Yeah.
as a St. Mary's Cardinal.
Yeah.
I know it was pretty cool to see you get that
Yeah.
standing ovation
Yeah.
in the down the stretch in the second half. Just describe yesterday. I mean,
Oh, it was great. I mean, it was really like an emotional day for me because I mean, it was my last game. I've been here for 4 years. Just soaking it all in was like really great. Just being able to experience the 4 years I had here, and then just being able to put on a jersey one more time was a great experience. I mean, my parents got to come out, which was great, and I think that was the first time ever coming for a regular season game.
Oh, wow.
Up here, so it was good.
yeah, that's awesome. And congrats on a great career.
Thank you.
Looking back, I mean, it sounds like you enjoyed your time here.
Oh yeah, I did.
I mean, do you regret coming here at all, or
No,
just nothing but good
I
feelings?
good feelings. I don't regret coming here. It's been a great 4 years. I mean, the school is great. Athletics are great. So I'm definitely glad I made this decision. I met great people here. So
Yeah, it is a great school. I think we would both agree. A lot of
Yep.
opportunities here. So you got a lot more minutes down the near the end of the season. Was that by design, or were you just playing really well?
I think I was just playing really well. I mean, from the start of the season to the end of the season, my minutes increased. Like you said, in the beginning of the season, I was on a scout team. So
Wow.
yeah, I've been through it all. Scout team, second team, first team. I've been through everything possible that you could think of. So I mean, I think I just really started playing well towards the end, and I wanted to go out with a bang. So I think that's what I did. So
Yeah, and you guys played really well. I was just saying during the break to Alec. I mean, the record really doesn't show how well you guys played. I would argue that you were one of, if not the hottest team near the end of the season. Those last 4 games were all so close.
yeah.
Thomas, however, I mean, they kind of backed into the playoffs, and you guys had a part in that. Who do you think is going to win the MIAC playoffs this year?
Ooh, that's a tough one. I mean, it's so many great teams. I feel like Augsburg may be a sleeper pick,
Mm-hmm.
but either between St. Thomas or St. John's.
It's pretty easy
Yeah.
most of the time, isn't
Yeah,
it?
yeah. It's those 3. That's what I would say. But Augsburg being my sleeper pick. So
Yeah, I mean, Augsburg, Booker Copeland, that was your best
Yeah.
game against that guy. What
Yeah.
could you say about him?
Oh, he's a great player. I mean, some of the shots he hit is
Oh my
like crazy.
gosh.
Like you wouldn't expect it to go in and it goes in. So it's like, I don't know. He's a great player.
And
I don't
what-
know how he hits shots, but he does.
He almost dunked on Kevin Gleason. too.
Oh, yeah.
did you guys razz him
Oh,
a
my
bit in the
God.
locker room after that one?
Yeah, I'm so glad that didn't happen. I was like,
Kevin
yeah,
Gleason
like,
saw him
Kevin,
go up. and it
don't
was-
jump. Just don't jump.
Well, thank you, Bradley Hill. You had a great career, and this was awesome. So we're going to take it to break here on the Squeeze, unless you have anything else you want to say.
Oh, no. Thanks for having me. It's been an honor. I always wanted to be on the Squeeze.
There we
I'm
go.
happy I got in.
Yes, absolutely. We got you in. 507-457-1615 is that phone number. Thank you again, Bradley Hill. We'll be right back after the break to finish giving away our Squeezies, first ever Squeezies Awards. 507-457-1615 is that phone number. Thank you so much for listening to The Squeeze. You are listening to The Squeeze with Anthony Pasquesi and Alec Rude on KMR Radio, broadcasting live on 92.5 FM on campus and 94.3 FM in Winona, Minnesota, as well as online at smumn.edu/KSMR, KSMR Real College Radio. Thank you again to Brad B. Ballin Hill, who that was an awesome an awesome interview. I really enjoyed talking to him. We said it during the break. We're just like, he's just a great guy. That's it.
Great guy.
Brad is just a great guy. That's all he is. So thanks for him coming in on short notice. And Christian Oliveras, we will get you in. We'll get you in one day. This is now 2 weekends in a row. I canceled on him and then he canceled on me. So we'll get you in maybe next week. But before that, Alec, give us our first male squeezy of the season.
Yeah, so I was in charge of the men's hockey squeezy, and this year they went 8-14-3. Obviously, the overall record, you might think this team underperformed, but you should have saw their schedule. They played I think 5 out of their games were against top 10 teams in the nation. It was just crazy. Conference 7-7-2, good enough for that final playoff spot. Again, if they win 3 more straight games, they're in the NCAA tournament, which would be something else. But so I, again, had 3 nominees. Honorable mention, I had a lot. This was so hard. I think there was 2 players that for sure deserved it, and then my third player, it took me 10 minutes to think about it. Jack Stang was in there, Sikic, Stoyanich, me, they were all in it, but
it's a whole team squeezy.
It was tough. But so my 3 nominees, so first, this is pretty obvious one. Number 10, Tommy Stang led the Cardinals in points with 21, had a +1 rating, and then kind of the funny thing I saw, he had 39 penalty minutes, second most on the team, and tied for 7th in the MIAC. So I think it's remarkable how Tommy Stang spends so much time in the penalty box and still is the leading point getter by, I think, 4 points. The next leading is at 17. So, again, Tommy Stang kind of funny on that one.
Might be something for him to work on, maybe.
It gets the crowd bumped up. It gets the team pumped up.
Yeah.
And then my second one nominee is number 9, Tyson Liverance, the freshman defender. Just unbelievable year. I thought he was one of the best defensemen I've ever seen in the MIAC. He had 16 points. He did get hurt a little bit too and still came back strong. Led the team in the plus-minus rating. Do you know what plus-minus rating is?
Gosh,
I'm
not
just asking
dummy.
a question.
He did this during the play-by-play game too. He just kept asking me if I don't know the rules of hockey.
You said you don't know hockey.
Because I don't get the nuances, but I get the statistics. Yes, I know what plus and minus is.
Well, for me, I think that's a very, very important stat.
Okay, no, absolutely. Yeah.
I think that's one of the biggest ones, and I loved him in that category. He was +4. And then, again, this was a tough one, but I'm going to go with number 11 freshman Jack Hatton as my third nominee. It was between him and Jack Stang, and Hatton was +3 on the year for the plus and minus, and just his playmaking abilities. I called his name so much when I broadcasted their games, and I think he was so good. Had 14 points, 7 goals, and 7 assists, and then obviously second best plus-minus rating. But my winner, it was down to Liverance and Tommy Stang, and I didn't know what to do. But just because how remarkable as a freshman defender, how good you could be, I'm giving mine to number 9, Tyson Liverance for my squeezy.
Wow, impressive stuff there from a freshman. You said it earlier, none of your nominees.
All 6 of my nominees, none are seniors.
That's impressive stuff.
And men's hockey only had 2 seniors, and the women's hockey with Corcoran and Herman being out most of the year. So they basically had 3 seniors that played.
Wow.
So expect big things next year.
Of my 6 nominees on the basketball side of things, Randy Blattner is the only senior. So
it's going to be fun next year, man. Next year's our year.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. All of these St. Mary's teams are finally getting their stuff together, and it feels really good.
That'd be fun. How about you?
Congratulations, Tyson Liverance.
I think I could guess yours,
but
I don't know. I don't know.
Probably if you heard any bit of the squeeze this season or watched any SMU basketball this season, I think you know who's going to win this squeezy. But I'll keep it behind the wall just for a little bit as I unveil the nominees. Honorable mention, as you said, it was just a little bit too tough to round this down to 3 guys. So my honorable mention is junior Kevin Gleason. I mean, he was the guy, you put the ball in his hand, he wasn't going to turn the ball over. He was a great quarterback of the offense, all around just great player. So he's my honorable mention for this squeezy nomination. And now 2 sophomores and a freshman. Caden Freetley, all 3 of these guys actually came on the show. So I guess I'm a little biased, but hey, we got the 3 best players on the squeeze. It's pretty cool. Caden Freetley, 9.4 points per game. That's 4th best on the team. 21 blocks and 21 steals. 4-1 game against Gustavus on the steal side of things. That's good enough for the team lead in both of those categories. 5.3 rebounds per game. That is 2nd best behind his teammate, Eli Cave. So 9.4 points per game and 5 rebounds per game for a freshman who I did see get hurt in the St. Thomas game yesterday and fouled out. So not his,
Fouled early.
he
dude.
fouled out early. So not his greatest game yesterday, but an awesome freshman campaign for Caden Freetley, and he got that squeezy nomination. And then Sawyer Rosner, 10.2 points per game. He shot the lights out this season, 38.9% from behind the arc, good enough for best on the team. 4.3 rebounds per game, best for 3rd. 20 steals and 5 threes made in 1 game against St. Olaf. Sawyer Rosner, not exactly the guy that you would look at and say, yeah, he's a 3-point marksman, which is just what makes him so amazing.
Yeah, and not to take that away, that kid in the classroom, he puts in work. That guy, I would see him last year in Ed's in the study lounge sometimes on a Friday or Saturday night, and I think he had a 4.0. I know for sure his fall semester, but man, so much credit to him, and I just love him overall. He doesn't really have a weakness as a player. Really strong.
I agree. I mean, really strong, literally really strong, and figuratively really strong in just about every aspect of life. Sawyer Rosner, he's just winning, but he's not going to win the squeezy today. He's simply a nominee. And the 3rd nominee, and also the winner of this year's Squeezy Award.
Joe Fano.
No, Eli Cave, 19.6 points per game. 2nd best in the MIAC behind the MIAC Player of the Year, Booker Copeland. I think we can all agree on that one. 49.6% from the field, 7.1 rebounds per game. That's top 5 in the MIAC. And this is something that I didn't notice until yesterday. He's 4th in the MIAC in assists, 3.7 assists per game, 12 blocks, 2nd on the team, 18 steals, 3rd on the team. And the only guy on that court that I can honestly say can take over a game. He's one of the few people in the MIAC that can take over a game. He started to do it yesterday in the first half, petered out a little bit. He didn't get any break in the first half. But against McAllister, 36 points. He had 35 points earlier this season. I mean, he is the dude on this team, and he's a great teammate. I know if we had him in here, he'd probably be blushing and say that he isn't the dude, and it's all due to his teammate. But man, he almost had a triple-double yesterday. He had a double-double, and he had 8 assists.
Yeah.
Like, the guy is he's awesome. He's by far and away, Eli Cave wins the first ever men's basketball squeezy. Congratulations. I could make the same joke, but I'm not going to. This is a pretty big deal for him. I think this is an all MIAC season, coming back after that just crazy injury last year, and just put in the work and went to work this season. So congratulations, Eli Cave. Joe Fano's not the only reason this team, really bounced back. Kevin Gleason had a lot to do with that. He didn't play last season, and Eli Cave was one of the biggest reasons for that. So congrats to everybody for being nominated for this.
Should we do a quick summary who the winners were?
You want to? So
women's hockey, it was Natalie Ryan, and then also shout out to Ziakis and Moser for the nominees. And then men's hockey, I had Tyson Liverance with Tommy Stang and Jack Hatton as my other nominees.
And then on the basketball side of things, women's basketball, Brandy Blattner is your winner. Brooklyn Paulson and Rachel Kettle, the nominees. And then Eli Cave was your winner on the men's side. Sawyer Rosner, Caden Freetley, your nominees, as well as an honorable mention to Kevin Gleason. Note that none of those people I just listed, except Brandy Blattner, are seniors.
Me as well. It's going to be fun next year.
Pretty awesome stuff. But let's not talk about next year. Let's talk about
We're still rolling.
Let's talk about playoffs. We got playoffs going this season. Playoffs. We're talking playoffs. Yes, we are talking about playoffs. Alec Rude, hockey is one of those sports. It's one of the only sports, baseball included, where anybody can win on any given night. Tell us how good of a chance St. Mary's women have of advancing through these playoffs.
Yeah, so women's hockey, it's going to be a little bit tougher than probably the men's hockey. But so the deal was for the last weekend of the season, The Cardinals needed to sweep St. Olaf, who was last in the conference, but they also needed Augsburg to sweep Concordia, which they did. And then St. Mary's pulled away with a 4-3 and 2-1 victory Friday and Saturday night. So they swept there and then made the playoffs by 1 point over Concordia, like I said. But again, it's going to be a lot tougher. They play at Gustavus. It's kind of a top 4 team race. And then St. Mary's is 10 points under Gustavus, who's the 4 seed. So again, it's going to be really tough. St. Mary's did tie Gustavus this year and then lost pretty poor. And then if they do win, they would play St. Thomas as well. But again, I think they have a good shot with how good Zeakis is playing. Like, you never know in that case. But again, they play Thursday night at Gustavus, and if they win that, they'll be at St. Thomas on Saturday. But again, and if you win this conference, you go to the NCAA tournament, and only 5 teams in the playoffs, single elimination. If you get a hot goalie and maybe a couple good D's, and Allie Ryan could step into that role, they could really make a move. So it's gonna be fun.
Okay, and what else is going to be fun? Women's basketball, man. They backed into the playoffs and they still made it. And what that tells me is that they're going to be hungry. We were sitting here, and I'll ask this question to Kaylee Landers in 10 minutes. We were sitting here 4 weeks ago telling each other, man, they got a really good shot of hosting a playoff game. 4th place hosts a playoff game. They were in 3rd. They were tied for 3rd. They were well up there. I mean, it looked pretty secure. And then they just lost, I think, 6 of their next 7, and they just absolutely fell apart. And then St. Kate's came into town, and St. Mary's needed to win against St. Kate's. If they lost to St. Kate's, they've already played a playoff game. If they lost to St. Kate's, we wouldn't even be having this conversation right now. But they took care of business against St. Kate's. They gave St. Thomas a good ride initially, but I mean, St. Thomas has won 70-some MIAC games in a row, and they're undefeated this season, and they're St. Thomas. So they're the 3rd best team in the nation. It's kind of hard to stay with them. Their first round opponent is another team that's going to be very difficult to play against, and that is the Bethel University Royals. We'll ask Kaylee what she thinks their chances are of winning that game this upcoming week. But I'd say they have a pretty good chance. And that good chance revolves a lot around the fact that the last time they played Bethel, they lost 86-68. But you know who they were missing? Rachel Kettle. And you know what Bethel does really well? They have 3 very tall players down low, and they go to work. They all average more than 10 points a game. That is their bread and butter, is the interior game. Rachel Kettle is one of the best defenders in the MIAC. She's arguably the best defender on this team, and that's exactly where she plays. And you know what? Brooklyn Paulson, if she goes off for 23, just drains her threes. Brandy Blattner, she's going to show up to play. I think that they have a great chance of taking down the Bethel Royals in their first round playoff game. From then on, I don't know. Augsburg is pretty tough. St. Thomas is impossible to play against. But you know what? A first round win, that'd be pretty cool for this St. Mary's team.
Back-to-back semis.
Back-to-back semis. And it would be great for Brandy Blattner to go out, with one more win. So I think they got a pretty good shot. I'm excited to see what Kaylee Landers thinks coming up in 10 minutes. But now, men's hockey.
Yeah, I think this team has the best shot on any. Obviously, I don't want to be biased, but I think this team they've competed with all these teams. So the men's hockey team came into this weekend. They just needed 1 win, and actually they made the playoffs by like 7 points. Yeah, they had 24 points. Hamlin had 17. So the St. Mary's men's hockey team back in the playoffs after falling just 1 point short last season. But they will travel to Concordia. It was kind of we thought it might have been St. Thomas or St. John's, but Concordia will be the 4 seed, and St. Mary's will travel there on Thursday night. Obviously, the drive to Concordia will not be too fun, about a 5.5 hour drive for them. But again, I'm not too worried. St. Mary's split with Concordia earlier this year. They lost 5-3 and then just crushed them 7-2 earlier. And then if St. Mary's wins that, then they'll take on Augsburg, who is a very, very highly talented team, top 10, top 5 in the nation. But again, we lost 2-1 in overtime to them and then lost 4-1 as well, which I think St. Mary's has a good shot at single elimination again. If they win 3, they're right back in it. St. Thomas and St. John's are the 2 and 3 seed, and St. Mary's has gone to overtime, and they swept St. John's. They one in the shootout and then one in overtime. So I really like their chances a lot. And a cool stat is, I think Coach Bill Moore said out of this whole year, there's been 2 days out of the whole year where the full team's been healthy, like the
Wow.
whole year. And that was, I think, the first 2 practices. But I think now, I don't think there's anyone hurt right now. I think everyone's really healthy. So it's going to be fun to see this full team full intact on Thursday. So it'll be fun.
Peaking at the right time. And I know one thing about hockey. I know it's surprising, Alec. You think that hockey is some foreign
I do not.
thing to me. But I know one thing about hockey, and that is you ride a hot goaltender and you can win anything. You could absolutely crush these teams. That puck is just so random. Hockey's such a random sport. No matter which team you think is superior, never has a clear, true advantage. And I think the Cardinals are going to shock a lot of people.
Yeah, no, it's going to be fun. I kind of wish they weren't playing at Concordia. It'd be fun to see. But, again, it's going to be our spring break. We could get some fans in the cities on that Saturday if we make it to Augsburg. I know the tennis team's going to try to go if they do make that game because we'll be up in the cities. So, again, it's going to be fun. 3 wins. That's all we need. It's a lot to ask for, but 3 wins and win the NCAA tournament. NCAA tournament, I believe, has 12 teams in it. So that would be something else to make it to the final 12 teams out of anyone.
Yeah, you mentioned spring break. Can we even call it spring break?
I don't know why we have that then.
I heard somebody say it's February break, and that would be a lot more valid because here's the weather that I'm going home to this weekend. You want to hear it? Maybe, Alec, you can pull up your weather too, and we can compare. In Chicago on Friday, when I get to arrive home, it will be 30 degrees. The high for the remainder of the 10-day forecast is 40 with a chance of snow. So I don't know why we have spring break in the dead of winter, but I mean, it's not that bad of a thing, I guess, but I'm not going to get much of a tan. I'm not going to go outside very much, and I think it's just going to be kind of miserable.
Well, you know where I'm going. I'm going to Orlando.
No way.
So we play in the cities Friday, Saturday, and then I'm in Orlando from Sunday to Thursday, Friday. And next week,
My God.
Sunday, partly sunny with a high of 83. How gorgeous does that sound? I'm gonna get a tan.
Are you guys? Yeah, you're going to come back. I'm going to look like a ghost compared to you.
And then my hometown in Hastings, the next Sunday, the high is 26 with a low of 9. So about a 60-degree difference I'll be in just a 3-hour plane ride.
Are you just going on vacation to Florida?
Tennis team.
It's the tennis team. Why
Men's
does
and
every
women's.
team except the freaking track team go everywhere?
Yeah, we have 1 match down there, and the women's team has 2 matches down there. So we're just going for 4 to 5 days. And yeah, last year we 2 matches down there. We only got 1, but still, yeah, it's gonna be. We hit a lot on. Play on clay courts. Play at the United States Tennis Complex. It's gonna be fun.
Yeah, that sounds very fun. I'm hoping that you enjoy yourself because I'll be up there in Chicago. Sorry, down there in Chicago, freezing my absolute butt off, trying to make some money through Uber Eats. That's my
I'm not
spring
working.
break plan. That's my spring break plan. 507-457-1615 is the phone number. Call in if you just want to chill. You just want to talk. We're having some pretty active chat today. We have hoping for an epic show. I hope you've been pleased so far. James Cave, my boy Brad, love me some Squeeze. Thank you, Teresa. Nolan Farnham retweeted that. And then James Cave, #genetics. I think that probably is relating to Eli Cave and just how good of a basketball player he is. But maybe we could get James Cave on one day and ask him about his basketball career. 507-457-1615 is the phone number. We've only had 1 16-second squeeze. It was a very good showing. A +5 from Molly Cave. So
18 animals.
18 animals. I'm not sure I even
That's over
know.
1 animal a second.
That's pretty impressive stuff. She started out with cat, dog, parrot, something like that. So, I mean, could you name 16 animals? Let's do it.
No.
Alec Root, you have 16 seconds to name as many
No.
animals as you can. 3, 2, 1, go.
Dog, cat, lion, rabbit, alligator, kangaroo, chimpanzee. Come on, Alec. I don't know. You haven't made me do this.
7
It's tough.
animals?
That's why I don't get how she did
Are
it.
you kidding me? Well, I mean, Molly, you probably could have gone up against Alec, and then you would have been a plus 11, or plus 12. Sorry.
You gotta give me more time before
No,
that.
that's the whole point. Is you're not supposed to know what the question is. That's the whole point of the 16-second squeeze. 507-457-1615 is the phone number. There was your example of a very bad 16-second squeeze. So maybe
That's
you
why
could
I'm never on.
maybe you could top that. That is why you're never on, is it? We only have one category left, and that's Teresa. And I'm telling you guys, Teresa's category is pretty low. She didn't get a lot of those questions right. 507-457-1615. If there was ever a day where a +5 wouldn't win, this might be the day. 507-457-1615. We're going to take it to break right now, and then after that, we'll have Kaylee Landers in studio, sophomore on the women's basketball team that we just talked about. They have a playoff game. We'll hear from her, ask her what she thinks the likelihood of a dub in the playoffs will be. So 507-457-1615 is that phone number. Thanks for listening. Stay tuned, and we will be right back. No 16-second squeeze. You are listening to The Squeeze with Anthony Pasquazi and Alec Rude on KSMR Radio, broadcasting live on 92.5 FM on campus and 94.3 FM in Winona, Minnesota. As well as online at smumn.edu/KSMR. That's a lie. KSMR Real College Radio. 507-457-1615 is the phone number. Scott Pasquazi, no relation to me, of course. Just kidding, he's my dad. Glad you're back on. Thank you so much for that very nice comment there in the chat. 507-457-1615 is that phone number. Sitting in front of you, if you're on that YouTube live stream, is sophomore phenom Kaylee Landers on the women's basketball team. Thank you, Kaylee, for coming in today.
No problem. Thanks for having me.
Oh, absolutely. So hands down, one of my favorite players on the court. I love when you're out there and you have a trademark move. I want you to tell me how you mastered it, what it is, and what's the story behind it.
The scoop layup, I'm assuming.
The scoop
Right,
layup,
too.
of course.
I don't know how I mastered it. For some reason, I just don't like necessarily like running into the people and, throwing it up like with contact. So I just decided to scoop, and I've been doing it ever since, especially on the left side. I don't know. It looks fancy. I don't try to mean it to be fancy. It just, it just comes.
It works and it looks pretty. So You played a lot more this season. I don't know. Did that have to do with you being a better player than last year, or was it just Coach Foley gave you a better shot?
I don't know necessarily if I like improved drastically. I just got in the gym a lot this summer, pretty much every day, and definitely Coach Foley gave pretty much everyone on our team a chance to like get minutes, get time, and I really appreciate that. Yeah, it's been better this year. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, and you averaged what, 1 point a game last
Yeah.
year. You were up to 3.5 this year.
Yeah.
You had some really quality minutes in a couple of games. You had 12 points against Concordia. Congrats on a good season.
Thank
There's
you.
nothing else really I can
Yeah.
say. You made the playoffs. You
Yep.
kind of backed into the playoffs.
Yeah, we
You
did.
got very lucky, and
Yeah.
I'm sure you know that. We talked about it just a second ago.
Mhm.
Honestly, tell us, what is the likelihood that you beat Bethel, and how are you going to do it?
I think we have a pretty high chance of beating Bethel. Last year, it's the same playoff scenario. We played Bethel the first game in the quarterfinals or whatever, and we upset them. So I feel like there's a high likelihood we do it. We played Bethel earlier this year. We hung with them for a while. Just at the end, they took it away. They're a very good team, but I think if we play together and we play as a team, like, we could do it.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
you guys shoot very well from outside, and
Yeah.
if that goes right, I think you guys have a great shot.
yeah.
What do you think Coach Foley's thought about it is?
Honestly,
yeah.
Oh, Coach has so much faith in us.
Okay.
He thinks we got it. We just got to go out and execute at the end of the day. So.
Yeah, and overall, if you wanted to give Coach Foley a grade him. I don't know if he's gonna be listening. He might.
pressure.
And that is kind of pressure. Try to be as honest as you
Okay,
can.
okay,
If you
okay.
could give Coach Foley a grade in his first season as St. Mary's head coach, what would you give him?
Honestly, I would give him an A. I think he's a great coach. He's so fun. Like, even when we're walking past his office, he's just like making fun of us, cracking jokes. Like, he just makes it light. Like, when we're in practice, like, it's very serious and everything. But outside of basketball, it should be fun, right? So, and he makes it that. I don't know. I love the guy. He's makes it fun for all of us.
Yeah, it's awesome. He always calls me the squeeze.
Yeah, he's so funny. Yeah,
It makes
yeah.
me feel good sometimes. I loved watching you guys. I went to
Yeah.
Augsburg with you. I went to
Yeah.
Gustavus with you. 2 games you lost. but-
Yeah.
but-
You gotta stop coming to the
I
games.
know,
I'm just
it's
kidding.
probably my fault. But you guys, Alec and I talked a long time ago, maybe 4 weeks ago. We were saying, hey, they're going to have a home playoff game. This is
Yeah.
freaking awesome. They just have to win these games. They're going to probably lose these ones, but they'll still have a playoff
Yeah.
game. And then you lost about every one of them.
So, yeah.
So like, what happened? Just
Sure. We had, I think it was a 4-game spurt of we just lost. The first one was Olaf, which probably should have won that game, but then we had 3 more that were all away. I feel like it's hard to play away in general, but we kind of let it get to us. Also, we had Abby and Rachel, both were injured, our 2, very significant posts, so it kind of hurt us a little, having them both out. But I feel like people stepped up and helped during that time. We just couldn't seal the deal on those 4, but at least we were able to pick it up against St. Kate's and finish there.
Yeah, no, one thing like on those losses, I noticed the fourth quarter was kind of more the
Yeah.
rough. Like, I'm looking at
Yeah.
your stats right now.
Yeah.
The first, second, and third quarter, you're outscoring your opponents pretty heavily, and in the
Yeah.
fourth quarter, you're getting outscored 459 to 376.
Yeah.
And obviously, once we get in the playoffs, you want to close out games. What do you think you guys can do to maybe try to manage that a little better?
Coach always talks about we got to finish the game. Like,
Yeah.
we usually have 3 quarters. We play really good basketball. When we play really good basketball, we're a really good team. But
Mhm.
sometimes we just let the fourth quarter get to us. We just got to stay focused and continue with the game plan.
For sure.
We can do it. We just
Yeah.
got to finish it. Yeah.
Mhm, for sure.
And what was the locker room like during that 4-game? Just run, I guess, that 4-game skid.
Yeah, I mean, it was rough, right? Because we kept losing, but we came into practice every day, like, focused. We got to get the next one, got to get the next one. You just got to keep pushing through it. And luckily, we played St. Kate's. We got a nice W against St. Kate's. That was kind of if we would have lost that game, we would have for sure not made the playoffs. So it was nice to get that win. Yeah.
And heading into that game, obviously you understood the brevity of the situation. So sorry, the levity of the situation. So how did you deal with it? How did the team deal with it? That's some pretty stressful circumstance.
Yeah. Coach, honestly, we did not bring it up. Like, we kind of talked about it. We all knew it, but like, we didn't bring it up. It's just another game. Like, we just got to play together. We're fine. Like, we just went out there and we played a solid game, which is what we needed to do. So
Yeah, absolutely. And Coach Foley yesterday kept coming up to me during the game. He was asking me the Hamlin Bethel score. Did he tell you guys what the score was, or did he keep that a secret
he
too?
did not. No, I was telling him, like, give me a thumbs up. We're good. But no, he did not tell us anything. No, we just didn't even talk about it. we just focused on St. Thomas at that point.
Yeah, I mean, St. Thomas is
Yeah.
such a tough team. It's
Yeah.
it's kind of tough to
Yeah.
play them on senior night.
Yeah.
But senior night,
Yeah.
I mean, what can you say about Mary Wintroth, Kirsten Keefe, and Brandy Blattner?
Those three, they're so fun. I love playing with them. They're like my friends, right? So it's kind of hard seeing them play last time at home, but they definitely made our program what it is. Brandy comes in, she scores a bunch of points. Mary's so fun. Kirsten leads our team with point guard position. Yeah, they're definitely gonna be missed for sure. It's hard to see them go, but hopefully we get these playoff games going well.
Yeah, give them a good senior send off. You're only losing those three seniors, though. I mean,
Yeah.
Brandy Blattner is arguably your best player, so someone's going to have to step up and fill those shoes. If you had to tell me who that would be, who do you think is going to step up and fill those shoes next
Honestly,
season?
there's like 5 or 6 people that are posts right now that we have that could take that role. I feel like Rachel Kettle, obviously, could take that role. Maggie Robertson could take that role. There's a lot of our freshmen, Jada, Jenny, KG. There's a lot of opportunity there. So hopefully they'll get in the gym this summer a lot. Someone could take her role, but yeah, we're gonna need that next year for sure.
So we said it during the break. You went to the same high school as Bradley Hill, as well as Maggie Robertson.
Yes.
Marist down there in Chicago.
Yes.
I went to Fenwick. Coach Fano went to Fenwick. So this is an all Chicago show. Are you excited to go home next weekend?
Yeah, for sure. Love being here, but love going home too. So hopefully we keep the playoff run going for a while and then see where it takes me.
That's true, actually.
Yeah.
If you go deep into the playoffs, you don't
Yeah.
even get to go home.
Yeah. So hopefully we're here, but we'll see.
Yeah. Well, anything else you want to say to the people out there? There's millions listening on the radio.
Millions?
There's millions.
No, come out to Bethel on Tuesday and watch our game. Help support us.
Tuesday, what
at
time?
5.
5 o'clock. 5 o'clock at Bethel on Tuesday. Kaylee Landers, thank you so much for sitting in with us. We are going to take it to break here. Thanks for tuning in on The Squeeze. We'll be right back. 507-457-1615 is the phone number. We do still have one chance to win that Squeeze t-shirt. 507-457-1615 is the phone number. Thanks for listening. Stay tuned, and we will be right back. You are listening to The Squeeze with Anthony Pasquazi and Alec Root on KSMR Radio, broadcasting live on 92.5 FM on campus and 94.3 FM in Winona, Minnesota, as well as online at smumn.edu/KSMR. KSMR Real College Radio. 507-457-1615 is the phone number. Alec, what's the phone number?
507-457-1615.
Attaboy. If you didn't know that now, I think we'd be in trouble. 507
You'd fire me.
Yeah, I would fire you at this point. But I mean, I've memorized this entire sheet. Could you do this? Do you think you could do this? I know we kind of did this bit last weekend, but like, could you say what I say at the beginning of every break? Do it. Just try.
I couldn't. I don't know how to start.
You are listening.
When you do that, I look up stats.
So you're just not listening to me. That's okay. Whatever. Thank you, Kaylee Landers. Not really. It's the same thing every time. Thank you, Kaylee Landers, for coming in, talking to us. That was some good stuff. Very excited to watch them on Tuesday at Bethel, 5 o'clock. Sadly, I won't be there because I have lab. I wish it wasn't at 5 o'clock, but I can't skip lab, Alec. I can't do that. But I will be watching on the live stream for sure. I've been rooting for this team all season long. I ain't going to stop now that they made the playoffs. That's kind of the whole point of rooting for a team, isn't it? So that you can watch them in the playoffs. But coming up very soon, we will have Coach Fano in studio. Very excited for that. Alec, I know you're excited. You're almost as excited as I am. Coach Fano and I graduated from the same high school, so I'm sure I'll bring that up because I'm still living in the past. Close the yearbook, Anthony. 507-457-1615 is that phone number. Come on, guys. We got a T-shirt to give away. Don't give it to Molly Cave that easily. I mean, she earned it, but come on, guys. 507-457-1615 is the phone number. Lisa Pasquazi, again, no relation at all. Looking good. Thank you so much for that compliment on the YouTube live stream. There's a couple of you on there. Be sure to subscribe to that, Anthony Pasquazi. And then there's millions listening on the radio.
I almost won the T-shirt. I was only minus 11.
minus 12 or minus 11. I don't know what you had, but here we go. Look at this. We're just going to take it right on air. What's your name and where you're from? You're on the Squeeze.
This is Lisa calling from Norwich.
Hi, Lisa from Norwich. Are you calling for a 16-second squeeze?
I'm calling for the 16-second squeeze.
Uh-oh. Molly Cave. She's sweating in her boots right now. Okay, so you have Teresa. That's the only category. Teresa had 16 seconds, and you now have 16 seconds to name as many Oscar categories as you can. Oscar award categories in 3, 2, 1, go.
Best actor, best actress, best supporting actor, best supporting actress, best screenplay, best movie, best design, best music, best dress.
Okay, that's it. That's 16 seconds.
9.
That was 9, but I think about 3 of them were fake. So I'm going to say probably 6.
7. Let's say
No, but I think this best dress was fake. The rest was good.
Best music. I don't know if best music is necessarily a category, but okay, we'll give Lisa from Norwich a 7. Thank you so much for calling in, Lisa. Stay tuned and see if you win that T-shirt.
Thank you.
That's a tough category.
Where do you come up with these
I
categories?
don't know. I think about it, and then I think about it for too long, actually. Okay, well, now we have Teresa. Teresa had 16 seconds to name as many Oscar categories as she could. Here is how she did. Name as many Oscar categories as you can. In 3, 2, 1, go.
Gosh, best actress, best actor, best movie, best motion picture, best cartoon something, right? Best soundtrack for a movie.
Best film and best motion picture are the same award. Best animated something, I don't know if we can give her anything there.
4, 3.
So 4, maybe 3. So Lisa had 7, Teresa had 4. So that's a 3, right?
Oh, that's
So
rough.
so Molly Cave, you will win this T-shirt. Nice job for wrapping it up. Lisa, you were very close. This is our first ever competition with 2 pluses. I mean, how cool is that? Our listeners are just getting smarter
Claire and
every
Teresa
single week.
just not their week.
Oh, maybe it's that. Maybe it's that Claire and Teresa were
They had a lot of homework.
we're the recordings. 507-457-1615 is the phone number. I don't know why I said it because now we're not giving away a T-shirt. But maybe if you want to call in and just talk to us, maybe you have a question for Coach Fano. I mean, I'm sure he'd love to answer them. Coach Fano, if you want to come on in, I know Alec and I are super excited for this. It's been a long time coming, but I wanted to wait until the season was over so that he could really, rip into his guys, because I'm sure he's totally going to do that. But Coach Fano, thank you. Say hello to the millions listening on the radio and the 8 people listening on YouTube.
How you doing? Thanks for having me.
Yeah, I'm doing great. Thanks for coming on. I mean, this is I'm a little nervous. This is the first time I've been nervous in a while for an interview. But congrats on the season. And this is as open-ended of a question as I can be.
Okay.
What were you expecting when you took the job of a team that went 1-24 last season?
The honest answer is I just wasn't sure. To be honest, I knew expected. And then we did. We pulled out those close games, and then we lost those guys. And then the hard part was after Christmas, it was basically 3 or 4 practices or so, and then it was right into games. So we didn't have time 2 weeks to 3 weeks to really practice with this new group, and we struggled. We did, but then after we started playing 5-6 games, even though we were losing, we were getting used to playing with each other, and then we were practicing together a little bit more. We were getting used to it, and guys stepped up. I mean, Brad Hill, come on, how awesome has he been the last 8-10 games, whatever it was, and we've just had guys step up, and we lost a couple games, a couple heartbreakers, as I'm sure you guys have seen, where, hey, the balls just didn't bounce our way a few of those games. As hard as we played, we just, St. Olaf, I mean, geez, playoff team, we take them to overtime, and we lose an overtime. Kid hit a big shot and a huge 3-pointer, and, they hit some big shots against us. And it, we just had some bad bounces here and there, but I mean, I couldn't be more happy for this group, so.
Yeah, I mean, I think we couldn't have said it better ourselves, and I'm happy you share that happiness. It's great for a coach to look back on his team and say, man, we did a good job. And there were about 5 games that we were looking at, Alec and I, where it was 1 possession, 2 possession games against teams that you really probably should have beat. 2 against Carleton, that 1 against McAllister. I mean, the Olaf game. Hamlin. So you understand, I'm sure, that if you won all those games, you would be a playoff team right now.
Yeah.
So, I mean, how does that feel to you?
Well, at the time, it drove me nuts because I was like, we're right there. And then I have to remind myself that we're a young team and we are going to make mistakes. And see, I get like Coach Brown will remind me of last year and say, you don't know what it was like last year. And I'm like, well, I think part of that's a good thing that I didn't know, because my expectations are a lot different or higher because of that. I see what I saw in practice every day, and I see these guys competing. And because we're a young team, I knew we're going to make some mistakes. We're going to make freshman mistakes. We're going to make young mistakes, and that's part of learning how to win. So yeah, to say I wasn't frustrated, I was. But then you take a step back, and then you're like, man, these guys are just competing. They're playing so hard. And it's like, we're right there. We're like right there. And we did. We taken maybe some ill-advised shots at end of games where we shouldn't have. We maybe got lazy with the basketball at end of games where we shouldn't have. But again, that's the league that we play in, though, because good teams make you pay for those things. And that's what teams did. Yep. And you got to give the other teams credit for hitting big shots against us. And hey, I constantly tell our guys is that we need to learn from this. If this is where we want to be, we close these games out, where maybe in the first 10 games of the year, we were kind of winning those games and ball didn't bounce our way in the second half. And again, playing with new guys, even their roles adjusting, Jake Chilson went from kind of coming off the bench to being a starter for 9-10 games in a row. And then we had to kind of make a switch there. And then it was just Brad goes from playing 5-6 minutes a game to playing 30 minutes some games. And that's props to him because he stepped up and earned that. It wasn't like, hey, and that's kind of what we told our other guys on the team is what a great example he is to all of our young guys to not quit and to stay with it. And no matter what happens, I'm going to get on you, but let it go in one ear and out the other and learn from it and move on. And don't let it bother you. Have a short memory when it comes to that kind of stuff. So I'm really proud of him and I'm happy for him. The way he closed out his senior year.
And the thing I was kind of wondering too, so you talk about all those like close games in the locker room after, what do you say to your guys? Like after like 3 or 4 times, was it the same message over and over? Like
I think the general message was probably some of those speeches aren't for radio. But yeah, I mean, it's halftime at St. Olaf. That was one where we just kind of got after him, or I got after him pretty hard, because I don't want it. We got to a point in the season where I did not want them to. They were playing hard all year for the most part, but we got to a point and we were competitive enough. And in these games where playing hard wasn't good enough, it needed to be, now we need to execute. And again, for a while there, I was just happy with how hard we were competing. But then it got to be, hey, we're better than this. Like, we need to take care of the basketball better. And we need to be better communicating on defense, in transition defense, or not talking on a fast break. And like, that's where we were putting ourselves in these positions. And a big thing they'll tell you is we give up more and ones than I think any team in the country. And they're just touch fouls.
Yeah.
And you're like, so I said, all right, we're doing 50 push-ups as a team for every and one we give up.
No.
So it started with, I think it started with Olaf, or maybe the game after. And we did, next game, we had 3 of them. And I said, hey, I'm going to be honest with you. Christian Mites took a great charge. I thought that it was a bad call. We didn't get it, but it was an and one. But I said, that doesn't count. I said, hey, you took a charge. Hey, Eli Cave took a charge the other day. First time in his career, right, Eli? You're listening? But things like that. It was just like, we can't make those mental mistakes now, because even though as hard as we're playing, we need to clean that up. Yeah. So the answer your question, the message changed a little bit to, hey, I'm proud of you for competing, proud of you for playing hard, but hey, we need to clean up, because I said we're down 3 at halftime, and we break down, we're getting killed on the offensive glass, say, or we're getting out rebounded by 8 or 10. And if we just clean those things up, it's a tie game, or we're up 5 or 6 or up 10 or whatever it may be. Even the St. Thomas game yesterday, we were up 12 early, and we ended up getting up 1 at half. But what did we do? We went zone at the end of the half because we foul trouble. Guys were tired, tried to buy a possession. They miss 2 shots. We give up 2 offensive rebounds, and they score. And now we're up 1. And then they get the ball at the half. Instead of us being up 3 going into halftime, it's a 1-point game. And they had 7 offensive rebounds in the first half. So it's like, and I think they had 8 or 9 second chance points. So, and we're still up 1. So if we clean up half of that, we go into halftime against a 16th ranked team in the country who needs to win our league. Yep. And we're up maybe 8 or 9 instead of being up 1. So sometimes it's deflating, and I had to navigate. Okay. Again, to your question is okay. Yeah, we are playing hard, but hey, it's in the message yesterday was just leave it all on the floor. Yeah. It was, hey, it's 1 game left. They're going to come at us with everything they need, because they need to win the league. And it went from a point in the season where, they lost 2 in a row. So there, guys are talking like, there was a chance where like, hey, well, maybe we're going to play St. Thomas. Maybe they're resting a few guys. But as a coach, you also want to play them at their best too. Yeah. You don't want to play them when they're, and they were legit at their best, and they needed to beat us to win the league. And we gave them everything we could. And we just kind of fell short at the end, but they're a really good team. And again, it's a lesson for our guys, from even a physical standpoint, and being in shape and getting in the weight room, that we need to step it up a notch to get to that level.
And that's something that I noticed with, every one of your big contributors, Freetley, Chilson, Cave, everyone except basically Sawyer Rosner and Kevin Gleason, they could probably put on a few pounds. Yes. Have you emphasized the importance of that?
Oh, yes. Yeah, I put Sawyer in charge of Sawyer and KG are going to be in charge of weightlifting during the offseason here, because I know I can trust them too. And we talk about accountability, and whether it's on the court or off the court, but in the weight room, it's because we can't be in there with them. So it's, hey, you guys need to get in there. And actually, a few of them have already been getting in there already. Like Chilson has been great. He's been in there. Tyler's been in there. Zach has been in there. So a lot already. And they see it. Chilson sees it. That's what I love about him, is that he knows he needs to get bigger and stronger. And, our league is so tough. And sometimes I know he's excited and pumped about playing as a freshman, but it's also hard to play in this league as a freshman. If you look around the other rosters, it doesn't happen. There's not too many freshmen playing big minutes. And so Chilson is in Caden too, has realized that. Caden struggled, came out of the box, shooting the ball. He was on fire. And then once we got into conference play, he struggled a little bit. And it wasn't a coincidence, because now guys they're scouting him. They know who he is. They're being physical with him. They're being tougher. So constantly talking to him about, hey, we need you here, and you need to get bigger and stronger. Obviously that's not going to happen overnight, but you got to find new ways to get open and set better screens, or your teammates got to screen for you more and hold your screens, all that kind of stuff. But definitely weight room is a big thing for us. And our strength and conditioning coach is going to be meeting with all our guys. We're doing a bit of a combine the next 2 days, actually. And he's going to test all of our guys and keep track of that. Then, so come October 15th, I will be able to see what they've done and say, hey, each guy's going to get individual goals on whether it be, hey, Sawyer, you need to put on 10 pounds, or Caden, you need to put on 20 pounds, or things like that. So that's definitely a priority. It's our number one priority over the off season here, is to definitely get in the weight room and put some weight on. So along with their diet too, nutrition, they gotta make sure you're eating the right things and all that stuff too. So
that's a little tougher here at St. Mary's. I think
it
we're all
is.
we're all in that same athlete,
Yeah.
bin. But
right.
so Coach Brown is a coach that was here last year. He's been here for a little bit. He probably helped you with, learn the ropes of St. Mary's. What is that relationship like between the two of you?
It's good. He will, they say, what do they call us? In the office, we're always bickering at each other, but like an old married couple is what Tony Winter says about us all the time. But no, he's been great. He's great with the guys. The guys like him. He's great with individual workouts. The guys coming in during noon or whatnot, or whenever they're off class, coming in, and he gets extra shots up with all the guys. So he's been good with that. And he knows Minnesota and Wisconsin, where I'm just starting to. I mean, I know a little bit, but he's got, obviously being up here longer than I have, he has more relationships than him being from Wisconsin. So that's been good. So we're kind of teaming up with Illinois, Wisconsin, Minnesota, and I'm sending him to Illinois for a few places to go out recruit, and he's sending me up to the cities to recruit in the cities, and a little bit in Wisconsin, and me just getting familiar with some high school coaches up there, and he's getting a little bit more familiar with some coaches down there. And then over the next break, he's going to be up in Minnesota, and I'll be in Chicago, and just kind of hitting the recruiting trail, the tail end of it here, until we get in the summer and AAU season, where I'll be probably in Chicago, I'll be in Milwaukee, and I'll be in Minneapolis. So I'll be all over in the summertime, but hope probably mainly be up in Wisconsin and in Minnesota. But it's been good. He's been great helping me with things around, like I said, just little things, is things around the office and where to go and where to get this and where to get that. So it's been good. It's been good.
And I mean, I heard multiple times that we were doing play-by-play. It's awesome because we get to sit right there. So we hear everything that you say, which isn't always the best. But we hear a lot of what Coach Brown says as well. And he's almost the defensive coordinator of the team.
Yeah.
And there were times where I called him Coach Romo because he knew exactly what was coming.
Yeah.
I mean, have you noticed that as well?
Yeah,
I'm sure you have.
I mean, he watches a lot of film. So he does our scouts, and he puts together their film for our guys to watch usually a day or two before the game. And then does our scout team as well. So when he goes out there, he takes our 6-7 guys that take off to the side and run through their stuff. And then we go through it for about usually a half hour or whatever it may be, depending on the day. So yeah, he's good with that. And he's in charge of matchups. So he's good with subbing in when guys sub in and out. That's kind of his role on the bench, is to take care of the matchups, because I know that's what he's been doing, from a scouting standpoint, and it's just kind of his role on the bench.
So something that we all kind of joke about, I'm sure too, is you go pretty hard on the refs, and most coaches do. I mean, Coach Foley does the same thing. Is there anything as a first-time collegiate head coach that you've learned about your interactions with referees?
Not really. I mean, refs are refs. I mean, I think
the refs are people too.
Yeah, they're people too. My main thing with officiating is be consistent.
Yeah.
And I just felt there's sometimes, especially at home, where maybe we haven't been as consistent as I feel maybe it should be. But at the end of the day, all good refs, they listen to you.
Mm-hmm.
And that's all I ask for, is that they listen to you. I mean, just yesterday, Coach Tower, it was back and forth. I'm in one ear, and then they go down to Coach Tower, and Coach, hey, Dad, he's getting in their ear, and then they come down and they hear it from me. And I'm like, hey, that guy was won 2 national titles. He doesn't need any more help than he already did. I said, don't be listening to him. But I mean, most of the time, it does get heated once in a while, but at the same time, they listen.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they listen and they understand you. And I know it's a hard job. I mean, it is. Ref and officiating is tough. It is. it's just nobody's going to be perfect. They're going to make mistakes. And I think that's a big thing too, as a coach. If you just, hey, Joe, I missed that call. I missed it. My bad. I missed that one. And a lot of times, hey, yeah, all right, give me the next one. I said, give me the next one.
Give me the get that call.
Yeah, exactly. So, but yeah, I mean, like I said, it's a hard job. I know it's not perfect. And yeah, it does get animated sometimes, but I think that's it. Every coach is going to get on the refs here and there. So
this is more of a short kind of answer. It kind of out of my head, and I know it's going to get out of my head, but who do you think out of any other MIAC schools, like player-wise, who's the toughest player in the MIAC you played this year?
Booker Copeland.
Yeah, okay. That's what
I had nightmares about him when I saw him for the first time we played him, even in the scout. I'm like, this guy. I'm like, he's good. I mean, he just plays so hard too, and he's just all over the board, and he's just he's just good. He's talented, and he just busts his tail too. He's just on the glass. He's rebounding. He's playing defense. He plays really hard, and he's a really, really good player.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
I mean, and in that same vein, I'm sure if we asked just about every other coach in the MIAC who's the guy to watch on St. Mary's, I'm pretty sure every one of them would say Eli Cave.
Yeah.
What do you think? Eli, I have a thing that I think he could get better at. What do you think Eli Cave needs to work on this summer to really complete his game?
I think his conditioning a little bit, because I think he needs to play a little bit harder, which we've talked to, but overall defense, I think defense is something he needs to work on. A little bit of his ball handling. I talked to him about he dribbles really high. And I felt the last few games, like the McAllister game, he's getting low and he's really attacking the rim and being aggressive. And it's been showing up. I mean, he's been dominating. And I think he gets into trouble a little bit when he dribbles really high. He's tall. I mean, he's tall. But when he gets it low and he rips it and he goes, he's pretty much unstoppable. I mean, he can get to the rim. And I think it also then that opens up his threes now, because as you've seen McAllister and last night, he's been really shooting the ball. Because up until then, we kind of had a talk. I'm like, hey, you've been struggling from three the last few games. You need to get to the rim, and your three will come. And I think my guys will admit that I want them shooting the ball if they're hot. Like I rarely said, hey, this is not a good shot. We talk about time and score a little bit. We've had some of those, but I want Eli shooting basketball. Because I know that's what he can do that, but I also know that we can't rely on that. And it's going to make him a better player when he's getting to the rim and scoring, because what the defense then is going to sag off you a little bit, and now he's going to have more space to knock his three down. And, in McAllister, he was phenomenal getting to the rim, and then he didn't miss. He was shooting from three. He was nailing everything, and he shot the ball yesterday against St. Thomas. He shot the ball well from three. But, yeah, I mean, I think in the offseason I'd like to see it. And all our guys from a conditioning standpoint, we need to be able to play. Because I told Eli, I said in the second half yesterday, I said, there's been some games where he's played 20 minutes in the first half, and I think he played 40 minutes against – was it Olaf or not? Olaf went to overtime. There was one game he played 40 minutes. I forgot which one it was. But I said sometimes he's better. I told him yesterday, I go, you're better giving me 16, 17 minutes in the half at 100% than playing 20 minutes of maybe 70%, because, we talked about some blockouts and things like that. And I think part of it is, and it's all our guys, it's not just Eli. We just get a little fatigued, and I'm asking a lot of him though too, because I'm asking him to play a lot of minutes, but he's been fantastic. I mean, he's an all conference player. I tweeted earlier in the year that he has All-American potential, and I got some flack for that from some of my coaching buddies. And I'm like, hey, I see this kid every day. I said, if he puts his mind to it and he works his butt off, there is no reason he can't be that type of player. And he can, and he's shown that the last few games. I mean, he's got, I want to say 3 or 4 double-doubles on the year, and he's come close to a triple-double a few times. Yesterday, he was right there. He had 8 assists. I mean, because he's so unselfish. I think he leads our team in assists.
He does, 4th in the MIAC.
Yeah, and he's 4th in the MIAC in assists, and he's 6'6", 6'7". He's 6. I mean, so he shares the ball. He's going to get our guys open. And he's going to hit you when you're open. So we talk about ball movement and screening and all that kind of stuff, because he's going to feed, and one of the things I tell him, I said, Eli, even if you're not, be a great screener. I said, because what's going to happen, the defense is all going to focus on you, and you're going to open up more shots for your teammates. And that's something he's been working on and getting better at. And like I said, he has the potential to be, he still has another level in him. He does.
Wow.
I don't know if he knows it yet, but I keep telling him that. I go, Eli, you have no idea. You have another level in you. I said, you're a great player right now, but you can still take it up a notch. And I think he knows that. And I think he believes that. I think he sees the potential in our team. And I want him to be a leader, not just on the court, but off the court as well. And it starts in the weight room and in practice and things like that. And because the guys look up to him, they do. And it's important when your best player is your leader too, because he can, like I said, guys feed off him. So.
And one last question. This has been awesome. So thank you so much for coming in. One last question. When we're sitting here next year, well, hopefully we're not sitting here next year. Hopefully we have to push it back a week. But the next time when you come back for a season recap, what are you going to be saying about this team?
Well, I'm hoping our goals next year are going to be to make the playoffs. I mean, I think that's we've set that now, and I'm hoping next year at this time we're talking about making the playoffs and preparing for our next opponent. What seed we are, I don't know what we would be, but I hope our goal is to finish in the top 6. If we stay healthy and we do the right things in the offseason, I know we have the potential to do that. We have a meeting coming up, and we're going to be talking about expectations because now teams. We've made a name for ourselves now in the MIAC. Teams know who we are, and they're not going to take us lightly. They're going to be coming in well prepared against us. So it's going to be different too. They know our guys now a little bit more, and they're more prepared. So it's going to be different when you have a little bit of a target on you now too, to be ready to go. So yeah, I mean, it's just handling expectations and not taking anybody lightly and going in and having we have a chance to do a lot of firsts, a lot of things that we haven't done as a program in years or in school history. And that's a lot of pressure. So it's you can't just step on the floor and think, hey, at the end of the day, we only won 4 conference games.
True, very
at
true.
the end of the day.
Yeah.
So it's like, I'm excited. The guys are excited. The school is excited, but we still have a lot of work to do.
Mhm.
We have a lot of work to do. I mean, we beat Gustavus for the first time in 35 years, and then we swept them for the first time in 39 years. So we've done some really cool things too. But at the same time, we need to be focused, and we know it's not going to be easy. And like I tell people, part of the reason you come to St. Mary's is to play in this league because of how good it is, and to play in front of crowds every night and all that kind of stuff. It's a great atmosphere to play in, but there are no easy games. As you can see, there are no easy games. I mean, we go 2-0 against Gustavus, who's in the playoffs. We hang St. Olaf in overtime, who's in the playoffs. St. Thomas, we play tough, but then we lose to Carleton twice, and we lose to McAllister, who are right there with us. So it's like, it's just, there's no easy games. There's no easy games. And I think the guys know that. And that's just part of learning how to win and for us being ready to go for the next year.
Okay, well, this has been Coach Joe Fano on The Squeeze. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you, Coach, again for sitting in with us.
Thanks for having me. And thank you.
Awesome.
Hey, for real though, thanks for everything you guys do. I know the guys really like it, and you guys are awesome. And,
Well,
and
thank
like I
you.
said, I know they appreciate all this kind of stuff, and it's fun. It's fun for them too. So
Well, thank you. So we're going to take it to break here. Thank you so much for tuning in. We'll be right back. We're going to finish up our last show for 2 weeks. So thank you so much for listening. This has been Coach Fano on The Squeeze. You are listening to The Squeeze with Anthony Pasquazi and Alec Root on KSMR Radio, broadcasting live on 92.5 FM on campus and 94.3 FM in Winona, Minnesota, as well as online at smumn.edu/KSMR. KSMR Real College Radio. We only got 7 minutes left. Thanks again to Coach Joe Fano. That was actually kind of funny. We probably should have just kept the microphones on because we asked him 2 more questions and he gave us really, really nice answers. Just an awesome guy to talk to. Great coach. I know I hear very few bad things about Coach Fano. I mean, he's an awesome coach. I know all of his players are totally behind him. They all love him so much, and they play hard for him. And you can tell. He just said they were close against Augsburg, and they were close against St. John's, and they were close against St. Thomas, and they played Bethel well, and they just there wasn't a team this season where I felt like they were going to get destroyed by. Like they were playing with so much more confidence, and you could tell that they were just scrappier this season and they wanted it more. And I think a lot of that has to do with Coach Fano. And then you always have to say, and the fact that you get your best player back helps that a ton, because he is that guy that you can rely on for literally 20 points a game every single night. That's pretty nice. You can have a lot of other role players doing a lot of other things when you have a guy like that. And he said some great things about Eli. And I said it at the beginning of the year. I said it maybe 3-4 times when he was on that crazy, he was almost on a 25-point game streak. I said, MIAC player of the year. Like, I said it from the second game. I'm like, this guy can be a MIAC player of the year. And maybe it's not this year. He's 1 year younger than Booker Copeland. Booker Copeland is the LeBron of the MIAC. It's kind of hard not to notice that. But, maybe his senior year, he told me he wants to score 1,000 points in his career. Well, he's already at 500, and he has 2 seasons left to play. So he's only played 1 season, really.
Staying healthy is a big thing. That's caught
true.
my attention. What Coach Fano said, we have to stay healthy, and that's true.
And for the most part, this team did stay healthy.
Yeah.
They lost Jake Bailey and Kareem Anthony Bello. That's tough. And they still played these teams insanely well. David Lindstrand down the stretch, he told me once that, David Lindstrand is the guy that can bring the ball up. He's the guy that doesn't turn the ball over. And he's the one that you want to have the ball down the stretch, because he's not going to waste his possessions. So you lost him for a couple games and you still played really well. And I just, this team, I probably just because I like men's basketball so much, this team is like the one that I'm so much behind. I love the direction of this program. I love following it. I love covering it with you. And, there's nothing but rose-colored glasses on when you talk about this men's basketball program. And you know what? Maybe next year things are going to change and we're going to have those expectations. And if they don't live up to it, well, we're going to call them out on it. And I'm sure Coach Fano will be happy to answer the same questions that he answered today, even if he doesn't have as great of a season. And I liked what he said. He said, we only won 4 games. We only won 4 MIAC games. And that's very true. We're sitting here talking like they're the 3rd seed in the MIAC. You would think if you didn't know anything else. They only won 4 games. And right now the MIAC standing says that they finished in last place again, but I still don't think, I think we have the tiebreakers. Not last place, 4 wins up from 0 last year. 7 wins up from 1 last year. And he went back to his old job, North Park, and they absolutely wiped the floor with that team. That had to feel good for him. I didn't even get a chance to ask him about that. I didn't say one thing about Fenwick High School, which is kind of funny. He was awesome.
His answers were long and long.
We could have done a whole show probably talking to Coach Fano. After this week of women's basketball, or I guess we have 2 weeks off. So I'm going to try and get Coach Foley on. He's a great supporter of the show. He's the women's basketball coach, also first year. I'm sure he'd love to come on. So we're going to try to get him on. And then Donnie Nadeau, he has expressed some interest in coming on to talk some St. Mary's sports. So we got a lot of, pretty cool guests lining up here over the next couple weeks. Of course, we will have 2 weeks off. Brian Sisson is our new athletic director. We've talked to him a bunch of times. Maybe that would be a guest to get on. And then my coach Niels even said to try to get the director of the MIAC on for a phone call interview. That'd be pretty cool too. Yeah. So, the Squeeze, we're moving and shaking. We're getting some things done here. 507-457-1615 is the phone number. You can't win a t-shirt anymore, but I'd love to hear from you guys, because we really haven't taken a call. Last season, last
There's a
year
lot of
we
calls.
took calls all the time. We had opinions and we had questions, and that just doesn't happen anymore. So, we love it. 507-457-1615 for those of you who are listening for the first time this year. I mean, we love hearing calls from you. And a lot of it has to do with the fact that the YouTube live stream is like a minute behind the radio. So, by the time they hear it, we're kind of off calls. And I get why it's happening, but we love to hear from you. So
Stretcher and
507
squeeze.
Stretch or squeeze. Remember, we had a whole caller segment last year that we just can't do this year because no one's really calling in. So 507-457-1615 is always that phone number. We love hearing from you. And honestly, I mean, this is it's almost like a midway point. This is close to where you picked up last year. I think it was after spring break that you stepped on with the squeeze. So we're coming up on the 1 year anniversary of you joining the squeeze. And, we're going to have 2 weeks off now. I'm so sorry for missing last weekend. It was too tough for me. It was all on me. I'll take the blame for it. And, just keep supporting us because we really do appreciate it. And we hope you enjoy every week hearing us talk. We have 2 weeks off, and then we will be back. I might do a show from home. I might not. We'll just, look at the Squeeze Twitter for that. I like this new time slot, 11 to 1. If you have any comments on Twitter, you want to maybe change that or ask us if we could move it around just a bit. There aren't that many of you, so I think we could probably accommodate. So thanks for the support as always, Alec. Thank you for everything that you do for this school. Thank you for everything you do for the Squeeze and also the play-by-play. You do a lot for it, and you don't always get the most credit. So I just want to thank you for being the patriarch of the play-by-play here at St. Mary's and for letting me kind of grab on your coattails.
We should travel to an away playoff game and announce.
And
that would be
announce.
something.
That would be pretty funny. 507-457-1615 is that phone number. You have been listening to The Squeeze with Anthony Pasquesi and Alec Rude on KSMR Radio, broadcasting live on 92.5 FM on campus and 94.3 FM in Winona, Minnesota, as well as online at smumn.edu/KSMR. KSMR Real College Radio. It is 1 o'clock here, Central Standard Time. That means that we got to get ourselves off the air. Thank you so much for listening, and tune in a couple weeks. Molly Cave, actually. We're going to need to get you your T-shirt somehow. So maybe if you could call the station and we could figure that out, that'd be great. 507-457-1615.